Seeing that the collapse of the United States is inevitable at this point, I figured there was no better time than to talk about the collapse in Cyberpunk 2077. One of the biggest driving factors for the collapse was corporatocracy. Corporations reached unheard of levels of power and influence, so much so that they had more authority than most world governments. It got to the point that if governments or politicians were being bought out by corporations, it was viewed as a bonus, as an advantageous thing to have on your side, just because of the sheer amount of influence and power that these corporations had. And y'all know what corporations do when they get uninhibited control of everything? They drain the planet of its resources. And because of the constant harvesting of natural resources, because of the constant production, the environment of the world was fucked and climate change was inevitable. Acid rain and dust storms became more frequent, wildfires ran amok. And in the real world, we are actively seeing the byproduct of climate change. Whether it be the LA wildfires, the devastating hurricanes that have ravaged and destroyed towns in the East Coast, even the recent flooding of Texas, all of that can be traced back to global warming and climate change. And the biggest contributors to the damage in the ozone, greenhouse gas emissions are corporations. Anyway, so as the planet is being bled dry, the rate of these natural disasters increases drastically, and with that, so do political tension, especially in the Middle East. Things escalate to the point of thermonuclear war all across the Middle East, leaving that part of the world an uninhabitable and radioactive wasteland. Now, I need y'all to really think about the reason the United States has been occupying the Middle East for several decades now. Oil. And without the Middle East, the prices for oil skyrocketed, causing more economic catastrophe across the world. Seeing this impending economic doom approaching rapidly, the United States decided to do what it does best: tamper with the stock market. And it wasn't just the American stock market they messed with the European stock market as well. Or at this point in time, our economies were linked together, I forget. But essentially, this scandal goes public. The entire world sees the United States trying to save its own ass by manipulating the economy. And as this happens, as the financial state of the world decays, corporations continue to get richer and more powerful. So back in the US, a lot of its citizens are upset, rightfully so. Upset at the way the country's ran, upset at the way the country's being exploited, etc. And a group of several once powerful government agencies banded together to overthrow the government and stage a coup. And through the Gang of Four efforts, federal democracy as we know it ended in the United States. A lot of states seceded from the USA, becoming free states, free from federal rule and involvement. Doing this to establish some sense of self and security away from federal rule so that these communities and states could thrive. This is also where we start to see the idea of a nomad. A lot